Oil price in negative dollars. What's going on? Let's talk about this. So recently, a lot of headlines were going around saying that the price of oil had dropped to actually a negative value per barrel. Um, so basically, what that means is that people who are storing oil have way too much of it and are literally paying people to take it away because it's more economical for them to do that. So, what does this mean in the big picture? Um, well, there's the issue that basically with this whole COVID-19 economic lockdown, demand for oil has gone pretty much uh, diminished in a way like we've never seen before. So, just recently, the major oil producers agreed to cut output, which is essentially just a what they're doing is moving to limit supply in order to raise the prices and try to get as much value out of what little oil they can be selling these days. Um, but in the meantime, because it takes a while to wind down production and capacity of oil, there's a lot of extra barrels on the market, and nobody is buying them because they can't sell them. They can't sell them to refineries, and they can't. There's just it's not moving. Just when so much of our economy is based upon oil to run, when the economy shuts down, the selling of oil shuts down. So there's so many extra barrels right now. People are literally paying you to take them away. Um, so that's another area that governments are having to look at in terms of, are we going to bail out these oil companies? Historically among the most profitable corporations in the world, um, but right now they're hurting. They're having to lay off employees, cut production, cut investment. The whole industry is hurting, and people are wondering what to do. It's like, these people make a lot of money already. Uh, Maybe they should have been prepared for this moment, but they're not. And there's a lot of talk about, getting something going to support the oil companies again. Tax in terms of, of being a government bailout that's funded by the taxpayers, and it's there's a bit of a controversy going on with that. So, um, what's going on? What would be a common sense solution? Let's take a look at this in terms of what would be best for all. And if we look at that, it's easy to see that it's best for us to not go back to an economy that relies so much on oil. You know, the fact that some of the most profitable companies in the world are now struggling, um, that tells you that, look, this system, even where so much wealth and power is concentrated in the system, is still completely vulnerable to a single virus, spreading in the world. So, if we're looking at avoiding, even if we do help out these companies, if we're looking at avoiding that sort of situation in the future, what can we do to, make sure that a relatively large sector of the economy, including lots and lots of workers and managers who rely upon the income they receive from working in the oil industry to take care of their families, what are we going to do to prevent such a large segment of people from being exposed um, to sudden loss of income like we're seeing right now? And the real answer would be is that, you know, what's actually happening in terms of this lockdown is that non-essential companies are being shut down. So whenever there's a crisis like this, that God forbid it happens again, they're going to shut down the non-essential companies, and the same, and until we reduce our reliance upon oil from those non-essential companies, every single time the oil companies are going to get hit. So what we do is we move away from so much dependence upon oil, petroleum-based products, gasoline, diesel, all of these things, even some, power plants can be run by oil. Um, so the answer is to move away from that. And in terms of, like, legislating that, that seems like probably a long way off. But what can you and I do in our daily lives? It's to reduce our consumption. It's to, once the lockdowns are lifted, to not go back to the same patterns of consume, 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 buy, fill that void in your life with purchasing things, going to the mall and just buying stuff that we don't need. That's going to be bad for the numbers. The people who base their reputations on, supporting continual GDP growth aren't going to look so good if we all stop participating and buying things we don't need. And basically, all that would take at this point is for us to continue doing what we've been forced to do over the past month or so, um, in terms of only buying what we need, not going out just to buy stuff that isn't essential, and spending the bulk of our money on stuff that's just basic necessities. Um, and if we can do that, and then in the meantime transition more and more of our existing capacity to renewable resources like solar power or wind power or tidal power, or all of these technologies that are becoming more and more feasible, more easily accessible, if we start transitioning to those for our existing power, while also reducing our demand by not buying stuff that we don't need, we will reduce our reliance upon oil. And next time there's an economic crisis of the magnitude that we're currently experiencing, we won't have these sorts of problems. And when the price of oil goes negative, all of the oil workers and their families won't be hurt by it, because they'll have already moved into different sectors of the economy that support the world running, humanity running in a more responsible way. Um, so, yeah, thanks for watching.